This is not a conspiracy theory. And no, this is not about aliens. What you're about to hear comes from real research, real scientists, and a real place on Earth, the ancient Euphrates River. But here's where it gets disturbing. Something was found beneath this river, something no one expected to see. Not because it's impossible, but because of what it suggests. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal, just another discovery in a place full of history. But as experts looked closer, the story began to change. Patterns didn't match, timelines didn't make sense, and slowly a question started to form. What if we've been wrong about this place the entire time? Now here's the part that should worry you. This discovery doesn't just tell us something about the past, it hints at something much bigger, something that could change how we understand human history, and what may still be hidden right beneath our feet. And the truth is, most people have no idea this even exists. So before you decide what to believe, you need to see the full picture. Because once you do, you might not look at history the same way again. The Euphrates River is not just any river. It is one of the oldest rivers in the world. For thousands of years, it has given life to entire civilizations. Long before modern cities existed, people were already building, farming, and surviving along its banks. This region is known as Mesopotamia. Many historians call it the cradle of civilization. This is where some of the first cities were built, the first systems of writing, the first laws, the first large human societies. In simple terms, this is where human history truly began. That's what makes this discovery so important, because when something is found in a place like this, it's not just local, it's not small. It connects to the very beginning of who we are. But here's something most people don't think about. Rivers like the Euphrates don't stay the same forever. Over time, the water rises and falls. It changes direction. It covers things, and sometimes it reveals them. Entire cities have been buried under mud and water for thousands of years, hidden, forgotten, until something changes. And recently, something did. Water levels dropped in parts of the river. Areas that had been underwater for decades began to appear again. Land that no one had seen in a very long time was suddenly exposed. And that's when researchers got their chance. They went in to study what had been hidden. At first, they expected to find ruins, maybe walls, maybe old tools, things we already understand. But what they found didn't fit so easily into history. And that's where this story really begins. Before we go any further, we need to clear something up. Because when people hear a title like this, their minds go wild. Some think this is about aliens. Others think scientists found some kind of hidden creature or something supernatural under the river. And then there are people who believe this must be a secret that governments are trying to hide. But none of that is true. There is no alien spaceship under the Euphrates River, no monster, no secret underground lab, and no confirmed cover-up. What scientists found is real, but it's not science fiction. It's something much more grounded, and in a strange way, that's what makes it more unsettling. Because it means this is not a story you can ignore or dismiss. This is not fantasy. This is history and reality colliding in a way that raises serious questions. The kind of questions that don't have easy answers. So if it's not aliens, and it's not a myth, then what exactly did they find? And why are some experts calling it disturbing? To understand that, we need to look at what scientists were actually doing there in the first place, because this discovery was never supposed to happen. This discovery didn't start with a big mission to find something hidden. It started with a problem. In recent years, parts of the Euphrates River have been drying up. Water levels have dropped because of drought and heavy use. Areas that had been once deep underwater began to slowly appear. For most people, this was bad news, but for scientists and researchers, it was a rare chance. Places that had been hidden for decades were suddenly open to study. Teams moved in to examine the exposed land. Their goal was simple: document anything they could before the water returned. They expected normal things: old ruins, broken walls, pottery, tools, things we already understand. But at first, that's exactly what they saw: remains of ancient settlements, signs of human life, nothing unusual. But then, something changed. As they looked deeper, they started to notice details that didn't quite fit. Structures that seemed too organized, patterns that didn't match known designs, layers that suggested something older, much older than expected. It wasn't obvious at first. In fact, many researchers almost missed it. But the more they studied the area, the harder it became to ignore. Something about this site didn't line up with what we know about early civilization. And that's when the real investigation began. Because now, the question was no longer, what is this? It became, how is this even possible? What they uncovered next is what changed everything. Beneath the dried sections of the Euphrates River, researchers began to map out a large buried structure. At first, it looked like the remains of an ancient settlement. But as more of it was revealed, it became clear this was not a simple village. The layout was too precise. Walls were placed with careful planning. Rooms connected in ways that showed design, not randomness. Some sections looked like storage areas. Others looked like living spaces. It was organized, almost engineered. And then came the part that raised real concern. When scientists studied the layers of soil and materials, they noticed something strange. The structure appeared to be older than nearby ruins that were already considered ancient. Much older than expected for something this advanced. That didn't make sense, because according to what we know, human societies at that time were not building like this, not at this scale, not with this level of planning. And yet, here it was, right under the river, hidden for thousands of years. Some experts suggested it could be a lost settlement. Others believed it might be part of a larger, unknown system buried deeper underground. But no one could give a clear answer. And that uncertainty is what made this discovery so unsettling. Because it wasn't just about what they found. It was about what it implied. If this structure truly is as old as it seems, then it challenges the timeline of early human development. It suggests that people may have been more organized, more capable, much earlier than we thought. And if that's true, then how many more places like this are still hidden, waiting, buried under water, sand, and time? So why is this terrifying? It's not because of what was found, it's because of what it means. If this structure under the Euphrates River is truly older and more advanced than expected, then it points to something we don't fully understand. A gap in history, a missing chapter. Think about it. We believe human civilization started simple, small groups, basic tools, slow progress over time. But this discovery doesn't follow that path. It suggests that at some point, people were building in a more organized, more advanced way than they should have been able to. And then, something happened. Because whatever this place was, it didn't last. It ended, buried under layers of earth and water, forgotten. That raises a disturbing question. What caused it to disappear? Was it natural? A flood? A sudden climate shift? Something powerful enough to erase an entire settlement? Or was it something else? We don't have a clear answer, and that's what makes it unsettling. Because this wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened. History has records of sudden collapses, civilizations that rose, and then vanished, sometimes without clear reasons. Now imagine this. What if this structure is proof that something similar happened much earlier than we thought? A rise and a fall that we never knew about. That means our understanding of history is incomplete. And if we don't fully understand the past, how can we be sure about the future? Because whatever caused this place to disappear, could it happen again? Now this discovery opens the door to much bigger questions. Because if something like this was hidden under the Euphrates River for so long, then what else is still out there? Think about how many rivers, lakes, and oceans cover parts of the world today. How many ancient places are still buried beneath water, completely unseen?
And now, with water levels changing in many regions, more of these hidden areas are starting to appear. This might not be a one-time discovery. This could be the beginning of many. And that leads to another question. How much of human history is missing? We build our understanding of the past from what we find, from ruins, from tools, from written records. But what if large parts of history are still buried? Then the story we believe today may only be a small part of the truth. And here's something even more unsettling. What if some of these lost places were not as simple as we think? What if there were other settlements, other systems that existed, disappeared, and left almost no trace behind? That would mean entire chapters of human development are still unknown, not because they didn't exist, but because we haven't found them yet. And now, as more land is exposed, we may be getting closer. Closer to answers, but also closer to new mysteries. Because every discovery like this doesn't just explain the past, it makes the past more complicated and sometimes more disturbing. Now let's be clear, not everything about this discovery is fully proven. Scientists agree that structures have been found beneath parts of the Euphrates River. They agree that these remains are ancient and that falling water levels helped reveal them. But beyond that, there are still questions. The exact age is still being studied, the purpose of the structure is not fully understood, and some of the more shocking ideas, like it being far more advanced than expected, are still debated. This is how science works. Not everything is confirmed right away. Experts test, question, and sometimes disagree. So it's important to separate fact from assumption. Number one fact is there are real ruins beneath the river. Second, they were hidden for a long time. Third, new conditions allowed scientists to finally study them. But when it comes to what it all means, that part is still being explored. And that's where people need to be careful. It's easy to jump to extreme ideas, to assume something impossible or dramatic. But the real story is already powerful without adding anything extra. Because even without exaggeration, this discovery shows us something important. There are still parts of our past that we don't fully understand, and we are only now beginning to uncover them, slowly, piece by piece. In the end, the most terrifying part of this story is not the structure itself, it's what it represents. Beneath the waters of the Euphrates River, something remained hidden for thousands of years, quietly waiting to be revealed. Not because it was meant to be a mystery, but because time buried it. And now, as the water pulls back, we are getting small glimpses into a past we thought we understood. But maybe we don't. Maybe our history is not as complete as we believe. Maybe there are more places like this, still hidden, still silent, still waiting. And each one has the power to change what we think we know. Because this discovery is not just about the past, it's a reminder that human history is still full of gaps, still full of questions, and still full of things we haven't found yet. So the next time you think everything important has already been discovered, remember this. Some of the biggest truths in our world are not lost, They are just buried, and sooner or later, they rise back to the surface.